Hello, hello, hello. All right, everybody. Hey. Welcome to week 30. Week 30 design reveal, right? So, I know it's only been 2 days since you've seen me, but I'm back, and we're back on our regular schedule now for a while. So today we are going to make some napkin rings. Isn't that exciting? For those of you who don't know me, I'm Paula Montgomery from Desert Cat Creations, and I want to welcome you to week 30 of the Bead Stash Challenge. So every Sunday we draw to see what we're going to make, and every Thursday we make our project live. So today we are going to make some napkin rings. Very excited about that, and like I said, I'm happy to be back on my regular schedule. If you haven't seen it, on Tuesday we made a fun Day of the Dead sun catcher, which is actually hanging in my window because my husband really liked it. So it's there, but I am trying to get my hands on some more of those rainbow skulls, just in case anybody's interested. So just to let you know, it's gonna be several weeks before before I have them in my hot little hands and can ship them out to you guys if anybody wants one. So let's go ahead and get started. As usual, we're starting a little late, but I'm trying to give people a chance. One more thing. We do need to schedule our quail. Getting a quail off my desk. Our quail kit, make along. Aren't they so cute? I love seeing the baby quail out here. So the kits are $25. You can get them through my website, or you can just direct message me and I will get one on its way to you. I think we'll do the make along, not this Sunday, but the following Sunday. So what's that, the 9th? I don't have a calendar in front of me, but I will put something out there. Oh, wait, there's a calendar. I know I had a calendar, right? Can't believe we're in August. We're going to be in August already. All right, so, yeah, the 9th. We'll plan on doing it on the 9th. Our quail make-along. Now, most of the quail is the same, but the tails are different on each of the 3 different sizes. But everything else, it's the same process for making it. So hopefully we'll have time to do the 2, the big and the medium one, to show you how to do the tails. And, you know, maybe we'll just go a little long and we'll do all 3. Anyways, so the 9th is when we're going to try to do our quail make-along. All right. So let's go ahead and flip the camera back over and get started on our project. All right, so just a reminder. I have a messy workspace, right? So we are making napkin rings. We need to use a fetish or animal bead in our designs. So what I have pulled out here is I've got some fish, some turtles. I didn't think fish counted as an animal bead, but you know, who knows. But turtles are an animal, right? Anyways, that's what we're gonna do. We're calling those animal beads. All right. I have to use upcycled or leftover beads from other projects. So I have some, all right. That was my I need to fix it project that just fell on the floor, but that's all right. I will get it later. So I pulled some silver beads and some white beads out of my bead soup so that we could use those as leftovers, right? And then we need to use square or cube beads in our design. So I've got some silver cubes. Hey, Lorraine. Silver cubes, and I've also got some other 4mm cubes that we're gonna use. And then we had to design it inspired by sea life. So again, that's where our fish, and these are sea turtles instead of land turtles, okay? So that's what we're working with today. I'm also, just because I think it's going to be super fun, I'm going to throw in using these 2-hole beads from our challenge bead set, right? So we're going to use those, and they went along with my color scheme today. So let's see what we're going to do. And I'm going to do something a little different today for a napkin ring. So often I make them using stretch cord, or I've made them with wire. But today I am going to actually use leather, all right? So I think, you know, working with these designs, that's how we're going to work with these. Actually, I think this one matches that a little better. Got our assortment of beads here. I also, you know, I pulled out just some other seed beads just to use to put on the leather. So see how that goes. So my seed beads, these are number 2s. I know they'll definitely go on leather. I'm using 1.5mm cord, which to me is the size cord that I use the most. Certainly could use 2mm, but it won't fit through all my beads. 1.5 normally fits through the beads. Now, I had cut a piece of leather thinking about one design, and maybe we'll go ahead and do that one. But I actually think this piece of leather is going to be too short, so let's got some other leather. So all right, let me find, and there it is. So I think I want to double my leather on one design, but not on the other one, so, all right. So let's just start with 12 inches. It probably doesn't matter, but, you know, if I was smart, I'd probably just string it on the leather and not worry about it, right? But let's go ahead and what I'm thinking is I want to put beads on the back part of here. All right. And then I'm going to put them through this, and that ring will go around there, and then we'll have some dangles. Okay. So let's design that one first. So the question is, do I start at one end and work my way to the other end, which is probably what I should do. All right, let's get, I'm going to tie a barrel knot at the end here, which is why my cord may not be long enough, but and just tying a double. And we're gonna go close to the end. Yeah, you can do that without the tool, but sometimes it's easier. So there we have a nice knot. So my thought is these animals will be at one end, but let's go ahead and use one of our round beads. Oh, hey, Janelda. I'm glad you can make it. We're making our napkin rings out of leather. We're doing things a little different today. All right, then I'm going to put one of these metal cubes on here. Now, if you're having troubles getting your leather through small holes, because some of these holes are just barely big enough, sometimes a little pressure and I do a little twist with my leather, it will help get that through. So we've got that on there. And I think this is going to work best if I have these round beads up next to the holes in this 2-hole bead. I think they'll stop things from moving around a little bit. So now I'm going to put this on there. So let's look at what we have. All right. And I am going to go ahead and put one on both sides. Hopefully I have a two. Yeah, it should be okay. I have enough for both. And now I just want to put some of these other beads just to fill in the part that's going to go around the napkin. And you know, even if you have really good beads, I'm going to do a little bit of slant here. All right. The hole sizes may not be consistent. Come on. Sometimes, you know, kind of like pearls, if you go the other way or go through a different one, fit just fine. I was able to get leather through these earlier. There it goes. So, you know, you can use whatever beads will fit on this. Like I said, a lot of, it's the larger size seed beads. Even size 6s might fit. Just have to try them. See. And if you buy, depending on whose beads you buy, they will be more consistent than others, because I run into a lot of different hole sizes in my size 6s, especially if I buy them, you know, just cheaply. Now, you know, I can make the decision to fill in the whole string with beads, or come on. I'm going to try to grab this with my pliers, or we'll just take it off. Use a different one because it fits. So I don't think I'm going to fill in this whole back part, but I'm going to put on some more. Because remember, I gotta leave enough for my dangle and my knot, okay? So right now I'm just stringing beads. Let me show you what my design looks like up close. So I'm just putting 3 cubes intermixed with some turquoise here. I'm sorry you're going through all this, Janilda. Hope you're healing up nicely, though. All right. So, you know, depending on your napkin, it doesn't have to be that thick. Oh, hey, Betty. Good to see you on here. We are making napkin rings today. All right, so now I'm going to put my leather back through this. And we have a decision to make. So do we think that is big enough to go around a napkin? I mean, a paper napkin, sure. I'm going to say it needs to be a little longer, so what we're going to do is just put all this other stuff on the end. So I decided I'm going to put a turtle and a fish on each one. Okay, so Now I had thought about using one of those sliding clasps to make this adjustable, and it's sort of a sliding clasp with this, but let's go ahead and tie our knot. Now remember, you gotta have a decent amount to make this knot. So we only did 2 times around for that one, so we'll only do 2 times around for this one. Slide this off, and we're gonna hold it and hope it didn't. There we go. All right, and now we're good thing it's leather. I can, even up those ends. So. All right, so I'm gonna cut a little bit off of there. And yes, I do use my wire cutters for leather. You could use something different, but all right, so now I think what I want to do is try to move these around so they're in the middle. And I'll show you why I'm moving them to the middle. It's probably close enough. So see what we have here is we have a loop. We've got that. And now what you can do is just slide that right on there. And then what I'm going to do is push that up. And I am just going to see if I can tie these. I think the turtle will fit through there. Yeah, like I said, an easy way would be to put one of those sliding clasps on there. I didn't have time to get some out, so we're just gonna tie a knot, and there we go. We have a nice little seed napkin ring. All right, so now we're gonna do a different one. You guys like that? And we're gonna use some leather again. Let's see where you know how I constantly lose the ends of my leather when I'm cutting it. Two ends and I can never find one. There we go. All right. So that one, I used 12 inches of leather for that. This next one, I want to double it, so I'm going to go ahead and cut 24. I don't think I'll need 24, but I'd rather have too much than not enough. So put leather back in. All right, so for this one, I was thinking I'm going to go ahead and put one of these round silver beads on here. Remember, the silvers are my leftover beads, so I actually think they were between the beads that I was using, you know, on the strand, but they're still left over, right? Because I didn't use them. All right, so I'm going to put that in the middle. And then I'm going to come through one side of, put both sides through one side of the leather, or the this 2-hole bead. I actually wanted. Well, hello, Karen. We are making napkin rings today. Now I'm going to see how this works here, but actually I think it'll work. So I've got my 2 pieces of leather. I have it going through there. And now I'm just going to string some beads on both sides of this leather. I may have to, let's trim these. We're making 2 different styles of beads here. If you like this project, these 2-hole beads are, you get a few of those in your the challenge beads if you buy my challenge beads. And like I said, I've kind of thought about this in my head, so I don't know how well it's going to work. I think this time, instead of the turquoise, I'm going to use some of these white beads. But we're still going to use a couple cubes. Since we have a whole tube of these cubes, we'll use some of them. And then we'll use some of these other seed beads. I don't know if that was the one I couldn't get the leather through before. And these don't have to match, you know, you could do something different. On both sides. You could, if you had big enough beads, you could put them over both pieces of leather. So Karen, I recognize your name, but I don't recall where you're coming in from. Welcome. So I'm doing things a little different today. We're making napkin rings using leather, but you know what? There's no rules on what you can use. You know, if you, I know a lot of people don't use napkin rings. I used to use them when I, you know, at holidays or when I had company and I wanted to make it a little fancier. But these days, if you come over, I'm going to give you paper plates probably. It's 1.5 millimeter leather because it fits through most beads, right? We're going to shake this up a little. We're going to switch the bead. Albany, Oregon. Okay. Well, I'm glad you're away from the fires. I know there's a few people that I'm friends with on Facebook that are in the midst of all that stuff, so. All right. And the stringing part is no fun here, huh? I hope you guys are having, you know, not having too many fires or whatever. We're having record high heat today, which in Arizona, record high heat is really hot because it always gets hot, right? So fortunately I'm in Tucson. It's not quite as hot as Phoenix. But yeah, I'm not really sure. I think we're supposed to get up to 110 this weekend, so not looking forward to that. But you know, it's a good excuse to stay inside and bead with my fan and my air conditioner, right? All right, let's see how big we want to make this. So I think we need a bit more. I hope everybody's enjoying their summer. I had a nice trip last weekend to North Carolina. It was rainy, but you know what? The temperature felt good to my husband and I. Visited with my sister and my father and my sister's family. Had a nice time seeing everybody. Remembered why I don't like to travel in the summer though, because everything's crowded at the airports. But we were a little late on one flight, but otherwise we didn't have any major issues. I'm thinking maybe one more set of cubes here. Let's get some more cubes out. I don't want to go through that one. Let's try. So I'm getting a bunch with the small holes. There we go. So. And like I said, you could do this design with whatever leather or beads you wanted. You were in Vermont, up near the Canadian border. Oh, okay. Well, I'm sure that was nice. All right. I'm going to double check this because I don't want it to be too big, but I also don't want it to be too small. Let's see. I think that'll I think that's a good length, so we'll measure it once we put the silver beads on here. All right, so I'm saying it's about 4.5 inches to go around. So now what I want to do is I'm going to come back to this, and I'm going to put these ends through that gap in there because it'll hold them. Tight. Let's see. Make sure I don't get this twisted. All right, so we're gonna have a slide on here. So now we have to decide what we want on our decorations, and I think I'm just gonna do, I'll make the ends match this other one. So we had one of these big silver beads, and we had a little cube. Then we had our bead. Let's do this guy first. And another silver bead at the bottom. Now I want a little bit of space, but not a whole lot, so I think I want yeah, that's probably good. I want the knot somewhere in here. And I'm using my rosary knotter because it makes nice knots. I think I really don't want more than maybe like an inch in here, so I'm going to slide this up before I tighten it. All right, my knot got messed up here, so let's try that again. All right, I'm gonna hold the knot or the knotter out here, and we're gonna go back around. So once, twice, and then through the middle. And like I said, I wanted about a little over an inch here, maybe. All right, so I'm going to leave that for a minute until we tie the other side. Sometimes you have to give it a little extra nudge to get it through some of those beads. There we go. All right, so I'm going to pull this one tight. The idea that I want the knot maybe down here. They don't have to be the same. They can be different lengths, because that adds a nice artistic touch too. So I'm going to put my one finger's kind of where I want this, and then I'm guiding the knot. Tying knots is definitely a two-handed activity. All right. So let's see what we've got here. So we've got our loop, got our dangles. I think those are good. Well, oops. Don't think my pliers are going to help me trim these, huh? And so let's slide this on to our napkin here. And then we can tighten this up. And I mean, if you wanted to make it real tight, you could put a knot in those and it would probably slide right over your so maybe we'll put a knot in like we did the other one. And again, you could use one of those sliding clasps or just a sliding knot on there if you wanted to. And there we go. So it's a slightly different way to use those same components. So we made our first one, single strand. We put beads around the outside. And then we just tied a nice little knot here. Now you could tie that second and make it permanent because, you know, napkin rings slip off the end. Maybe we'll do that. See if we can. I don't know. I think it'll just make it. All right. I'm doing a square knot because it's a little more decorative than. All right. And like I said, it'll just slide off. This is a thick napkin, but and then this other one, since we put a knot in it, will also just slide. You got a bead on the wrong side of the, oh wait, no, that's on the, never mind, that was on the original cord. So I'm going to go ahead and tie this one because we really don't need it to loosen up. It's fairly big. Make sure my beads don't get caught up in there. But this shows you a way to use your, because I did end up crossing those. Oh well, that's okay. There we go. To use like these two hold things. And those are kind of fun, huh? So we used, let's go over this. So we made napkin rings, right? Our upcycled and leftover beads are these silver rounds that are in there. We had to use square or cube beads, so we've got metal cubes and we've got these greenish metallic cubes. Our fetish or animal beads, we used these fish and turtles because we also had to inspire it by sea life, huh? So, you know, if I'm going to put these on now that I've sort of made them permanently that size, I'm going to roll up my napkin nice and tight. These would go over paper napkins really easy. But just something a little different. And we're going to put that on there. And, you know, they shouldn't be a problem that it's leather because it's like you're not going to be sticking them near water. So. Guess I have them going in opposite directions. Woo! Should have flipped that one over. Do that before I take the picture. But here we go. Yay! Oh, okay. Thank you, Karen. Yeah, you know what? I ran across those as I was pulling out my other beads, and I was like, you know what? Those could be fun. So that was a fun way to use them. And on Tuesday, we used our spikes that are also in that mix. Like I said, I don't have my my sun catcher made because it's hanging in my window at the moment in the other room. So, all right. Thanks again, as always, for joining me. It's always so much fun to have people watching me live. So we'll be back on Sunday, noon Pacific time, for week 31. And you know what? We're flipping over the make pile. So it's going to be a brand new make deck with all of our make cards from all of our decks. So who knows what we'll be making next week? It can be anything, right? So looking forward to that. And like I said, a week from Sunday on the 9th, we're gonna do our quail kit make along. And so if you don't have your kit, they're $25. You can direct message me. You can comment on this video. You can go to our website. All of those are options on getting it. So you get the crystals to make 3 quail. You'll need 22 gauge wire in your own choice of colors. I love the blue, and I do have some of that for sale if you need it. I'll have to check the pricing on it, but I can sell you some blue wire if you'd like to make them in blue. So anyways, that'll happen on the 9th of August, and of course we'll save the videos, so if you're catching us later, then that's not a problem. As always, I move these videos over to YouTube where they're saved beyond the 30 days that Facebook has them. If you haven't already, please like and follow Desert Cat Creations on Facebook, Instagram, and subscribe to us on YouTube. And just remember, it's always helpful for small business owners if you just follow our social media. It's a free way to help us out. Doesn't cost you anything except you might see my pop-ups when I actually come on or post something new. But I don't, I don't post every day, so it shouldn't flood your feed. Yeah, Janelle, I know you can't make yours yet, but you'll make them as soon as you can, I'm sure. I will say this kit, not my easiest one, partially because I wanted them to be able to stand up. So getting them to stand up is the challenging part, okay? But they do stand up, so. All right, so thanks for joining me for the napkin rings, and like I said, everything's back on the table for making this week, so who knows what we'll be making next Thursday. But we should be back on our regular schedule for a while, at least until September. So I do have a short road trip scheduled in September, but I might actually do my show from there. We'll see. Since I'll be in the car, I can take my tools. So that's all good, right? All right. You guys have a great weekend. I will see you Sunday at noon, and we'll make some sort of surprise project, because we always make a bonus project, except for this past week because we had to make last week's project. But we'll be making some sort of bonus project as I'm going through stuff. Who knows what I'll decide to make. So, all right, we will see you soon. Thanks again. Bye.